Best 7 Grand Final, WardiTV European League 2020. Is in the bottom right side of the map. Blue Protoss player is ShoWTimE. And again, he starts down a game in this best of 7 because of the fact that he came from the lower bracket, while his opponent came from the winner bracket. The 1-0 lead is for Clem. Red Darren in the top left-hand side. So, Clem leads 1-0 as we go into game 1. We'll call it game 2 for my own sake, I think. Or I don't know. I always get confused. I try and call it game 2 because then it matches up with the score, but then sometimes I'm like, well, in the first game that we saw, and then I get all confused. So you guys just have to figure it out as we go, basically. I'm sure you guys watch StarCraft. I'm pretty sure you're clever enough to figure out the map order or the map score and stuff like that. I could just not mention numbers at all. That could work, right? So it's a way to make something happen. So obviously we got to see a best of 5 between these two already in the winner bracket finals. So that best of 5 already showed us some pretty cool stuff. I do think that it was Clem looking very good, a lot of cool moves. And honestly, even in the game he lost, I feel like if he'd scanned the observer and gotten rid of the detection so that ShoWTimE doesn't just get to watch his army move around so much, then I feel like it's much, it's still a very close, even game. He just let ShoWTimE watch everything that happened for 2+ minutes, and eventually ShoWTimE finds an opening to completely take advantage of that and just run with it. So, well, yeah. We'll see how it goes going into these ones. Obviously, we'll see if there's any similarities. For now, it looks like we're just going to open with an expansion from both. This probe will try and get that denial off. You can see that Clem was just about to get it down at 140. Goes down 143. It's not a huge delay. It is a Marine and not a Reaper initially as well. So no Reaper on the map from Clem early means he gets a faster reactor and hence a faster factory as well. So that's a couple of things to watch out for going forward from this. As our cybernetics core will finish up from ShoWTimE. Over in the main base, Nexus continues to build on the natural. We do have our probe. Going to go back up toward the natural as well. Now, Marine is going to catch that probe. A couple shots already going off. So probe taking some damage. And yeah, I mean, so far so good, right? Just probe scouting, both players expanding. Clem getting a bunker as well, especially without the Reaper early on. Just wants to make sure the Adept showing up would not be too much of a problem. He's going to go for a Reaper and a Marine on the follow-up, though. So this Reaper is going to come in after the factory, so it will give him some eventual scouting, but it still means that factory is that little bit 50 gas sooner than it might usually be. So we'll kind of watch to see if that means anything in terms of overall timings here eventually or so, as this Marine is just going to get back to the bunker. And again, the Adept could maybe shade on by, but shade by to do what? Sit in the back of the natural. These SCVs are going to pull away. Command Center would have been finished anyway, so don't think you're really going to find damage there. Maybe you deny a bit of mining, but then you also got your Adept trapped in the back of the natural, and then you're a little bit unsure as to what's coming up, so I want to be careful about that too. It's going to be Widow Mines from the start from Clem, so not bothering with any Hellions, which we obviously saw a big factor in pretty much every TvP of the last month, right? But no Hellions this game just yet from Clem at least, and if they're not built in the first kind of couple units, you're not really expecting to see them at all. Not too surprising, I guess, when you consider the factory was built away from the wall-off, so it's not close to that reactor to swap on over to or anything. So just a pretty kind of straight-up go-to Widow Mine drop to get us going here in our first played match of this Grand Final. Alright, well, ShoWTimE just kind of follows up with Blink himself. He's got second gateway now finishing, and a Robo to follow that up too. So it looks like he's just going to go for a fast third. Something that ShoWTimE didn't really do a lot of in that first series they played in the winner bracket final. In fact, ShoWTimE played around a lot of... ShoWTimE really played a lot of, Colossus and, like, faster Robo Bay and Robo Facility, etc. than this third base. Usually we're still talking about a third base around the 5-minute marker. 5 minutes, 5:15, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's, kind of interesting, I guess. Alright, well, these two Widow Mines are going to continue across over to the right-hand side. Maybe thinking about a drop into the natural here in a few moments. This nation going to go moving up to the top, is going to come along, and is just going to go pushing into that main base just to scout out. Well, obviously nothing just yet. This Widow Mine drop is figured out. He knows where it is. But I'm still going to send a few Stalkers onto the map to try and put a bit of pressure on, keep a bit of the presence at the front here just in case anything wants to start moving across. It is Banshee tank production from Clem, but it's all behind a 3cc, so I don't imagine that he's going to be all too aggressive in ShoWTimE. He's also going to start bringing the Stalkers back home and then back across. He's still a little unsure where they want to be. They might have caught that Banshee had they been positioned a bit differently. Obviously, these Marines in the tank going to start to move forward. It looks like he does want to move across to, like, take a position on the third base. This is where these Stalkers become very useful. You put damage onto this before it gets started, and at the same time, the Banshee into the main. Well, no shield battery here, but a couple of Stalkers warping in, so it looks like ShoWTimE is aware of what Clem can do. He's expecting this multi-prong, and gets here straight away. 2 Stalkers to jump straight in on this Banshee. Still got the Widow Mine drop as well. And with the Stalkers in the middle of the map, Clem decides just to go back and use this as a way to defend the third base. Instead of trying to set up aggressively anywhere, instead of trying to force the siege up in any particular position. And I like that. I think that's a perfectly appropriate way of going about this. Makes a lot of sense to me, at least. Just gonna see our orbital landing up in that third base. And yeah, we go into the next stage of this game. We'd love to see some longer games between ShoWTimE and Clem. We didn't really get like an epic back and forth maxed out game between them in the previous setup, so wouldn't mind seeing something like that as this hallucination flies through the main, has a little bit of a scout around. A few Stalkers out in the center as well as our hallucination continues out into the middle. Templar Archives from ShoWTimE will build up in the center already. Marine's going to grab that hallucination too. Just going to be seeing a few Stalkers of ShoWTimE continuing up to the top side of the map. And yeah, +1 attack, +1 armor, stim, combat shields, all the good stuff continuing to get going here. A couple of extra barracks still coming up over on the main base. So these couple of extra racks still coming through. And we'll make a push out into the center here as we see stim, combat shields, and +1 armor. All of that finishing shortly. And the Bioforcer Clem. When they get to the middle of the map, that's straight up in a Zealot that goes down immediately. So, Zealot already falls. Now these few Stalkers going to be coming through and just going to be picking away at some of this Bio. Continuing to blink away to the right-hand side. You High Templar? Well, they're going to have Storms soon. Not just yet, but Clem's not going to make the continued push in, so it's all good for the moment as the Marine gets here, picks off a probe, and medevac between the two bases. Still sat here from earlier in the game. I mean, the thing is, you're not getting it out of there alive if you try and make a move, so you may as well just wait and wait and wait, and eventually you might find a couple of probe kills or something, you know? Gets the set of rocks up on the top side. We do see this army of ShoWTimE going to start to move out in toward the center of the map. Bio to the right side will grab a pylon. Armory about to finish up. Ghost Academy coming through. And still just seeing ShoWTimE around to the upper right-hand side. Marine in the top corner. And still just seeing a couple of Widow Mines setting up as a Nexus builds on the 4th base. Scanner Nexus up and running. And this is kind of going to be a maxed out game without really much action early, which isn't so bad. I think obviously both players have made good movements around to stop the other player from coming across the map, to stop the other guy really getting any damage done. So in that regard, so far so good, as we see a few extra Zealots will warp in. And maybe ShoWTimE can consider going onto the map. I mean, he's got 4 High Templar that have a lot of Storms on them. The Ghosts aren't out just yet from Clem. It's a lot of tanks though, right? I mean, you look at this is 7 siege tanks. I mean, if you catch them on siege, then brilliant, but if you walk into anything where these guys are sieged up, well, you better be sure you're going to have an overwhelming amount or a really good flank from 2 angles with Zealots or so. This doesn't really make sense. Man, this Widow Mine though, or Widow Mine drop, still keeping 4 Stalkers positioned to the right side. It's actually crazy when you think about it. Like, that's a lot of supply left to deal with. Okay, it's a fair amount of supply from the Protoss. It's only like 2 supply from the Terran. It's only like 2 supply more from the Protoss spent there, but it's still 4 Stalkers compared to a medevac and 2 mines. That is crazy. As these Zealots show up, but they're pretty quickly found by the Bio Army, so you get 4 SCVs pretty quick, make that 5, and it's kind of about it for now. It's just going to be seeing the these Zealots just going to charge in, and that bunker going to start taking some damage initially. Marines and a tank here as the Zealots go into the mineral line to get a few more SCVs. Okay, well, it's not like a crazy amount of Zealots. The Widowmine, I can't believe I missed it, but it did make its move and it got a couple probes. So Widowmine drop is now no longer a thing as we follow these Zealots around. I mean, this army right now, High Templar's going to drop, and those are the sort of storms you're looking for. Oh, ShoWTimE kind of thought he didn't want to go for this here, but then he's like, well, I can get a bunch of the tanks right away, and without really exposing my tech units to the tank fire from the tanks in the background. And yeah, I kind of like that one. I think that makes a lot of sense. Don't mind him fighting there. I mean, it really reduces that siege tank count. We know how important that can turn out to be. Guardian Shield going to pop. We're going to go for this again. High Templar dropping down. Storm's pushing the bio away to the left side. Now the High Templar, they do have to be saved. Another one shows up. It goes down to the tanks, but keeps the bio away from catching the Warp Prism. And that's obviously a one High Templar sacrifice to save the other 4. Alright, well, tank's still set up here. The army of ShoWTimE still getting ready to go again. He really wants to keep fighting this. I mean, again, it's just 2 tanks that you get to pick off right away, so why not? High Templar unloading, finally finds a Storm out of one of them. The others just didn't have the energy. So the Storm came in a little bit more slowly. ShoWTimE dropping a lot of supply in these fights. You look at resources lost, it is a bit favorable to Clem. And a game where the economy is evening out, 80 workers each, so wouldn't really want to pick a favorite from here. ShoWTimE, I mean, and ShoWTimE's taking bad fights because he's forced to take these fights. I mean, all it takes is a good run by or so for ShoWTimE, though, and this game evens out entirely. So, very much so in the balance. Clem not able to make much happen with that continued push forward. ShoWTimE now going to get a 5th base setup as well. And starting to hit that true late game. We saw how well he could play with those DTs against Seoul in the lower bracket finals. And now we're going to get a chance to see them in the grand finals here against Clem too. And with the backing up disruptors coming in too, I mean, everything's just kind of clicking together from ShoWTimE for this real kind of late game effort. There's Banshee from earlier in the game, by the way, still around, is going to have to shut down now. I mean, not that the Banshee was really going to do much. Might have even been better alive for ShoWTimE just to soak up supply that you don't really need as the Terran player. Prism just went down. Disruptor shot in the middle does get denied. The tank fire on it was good. So again, not a good fight from ShoWTimE. He denies the 4th base and a good amount of SCVs with it. A Colossus goes down. The immediate counterattack is going to be the concern here. I mean, lost the Prism. A few High Templar were still inside. Lost a Colossus. Another Colossus here that's low, but then you look at the 2 Disruptors that are out, and they might just be able to kind of buy the time to stop Clem from kind of coming forwards into this. 40 army supply lead for Clem as he begins to push forward. Oh, sorry, maybe more 30. Now 20 as an extra warping comes through. It's ever-changing, of course. So there's a few tanks to back this up. So there's EMPs available, but that was the last one, more or less, because that Disruptor was amazing. 4 ghosts go down at once. Big catch there from ShoWTimE. As we're going to be seeing another Storm goes down. A few more Zealots will be warping in. And here we go. So Zealot's going to continue through. Just going to keep on going. Charging on into this. You can see these couple of tanks getting cleaned out as well. The Marines and Marauders still backing away. And ShoWTimE is going to be able to force Clem out of that position. So once more, ShoWTimE able to push Clem back. This time there's a big difference to before, though. This time there's actually a pretty significant supply advantage from ShoWTimE. I mean, you're looking at 172 to 157. I mean, before, it's always been ShoWTimE coming out of this with a little bit of a trailing supply, trying to play catch-up. Look at that resources lost, getting ever closer as well, still trading evenly. Time is now up on 5 bases, as is ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE already looking to take this base up here. What I really love for ShoWTimE is that he's getting into a good position at the most dangerous stage of the game for him too, or for Clem as well, right? Dangerous for Clem is when ShoWTimE can be the most dangerous because of these Blink DTs coming online. So now ShoWTimE has a really good competitive army, and he's going to have that DT harassment. And I mean, how long has it been since ShoWTimE moved out onto the map? It's been forever since he took his, took the initiative and actually moved out onto the map himself. Disruptor shot tries to land, bio does split away. ShoWTimE going to move back over to the left-hand side here, and there's another Disruptor shot that will land on a Marauder. Obviously using these Disruptors to zone, and that's a good connection. He's going to start finding some Ghosts as well. I mean, chasing into Disruptors is just a death sentence usually for the Terran, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Clem is losing so much here as he tries to push in. A couple snipes go down. Force heals to keep the bio at bay. I mean, this is already bad for Clem. Now you consider he's going to lose a base on top of it. No detection over here. Base goes down. SCVs, a few of those will go down before these DTs are done. That's 9 workers, a planetary fortress, and Clem now falls 2 bases down in the game. It's obviously not pretty. And these DTs are even starting to make a getaway. Apparently they already used their blink, so now they just have to turn around and fight. The EMP comes in. Okay, that's a good catch from Clem at least. He is going to catch all but 3 of the DTs. That's expensive, but it's going to come at the cost of this left-hand side base. Clem's just going to try and base through, which is probably the best case scenario, but what stops ShoWTimE just recalling home? You know, he doesn't need to do any more than he's already done, so why not just recall home? The DTs blink in, EMPs go down. With a few Zealots to back this up, honestly, ShoWTimE gets the majority of this just from the DT Zealot play. And now what's left is super low HP, that this cannon is actually picking up some serious kills. I mean, ShoWTimE didn't even need the recall in the end, as Clem lifts up, backs the hell away from there. But yeah, ShoWTimE's played a great game here on Lightshade, and he you know, it took a long time for him to survive and for him to get safe, but he got safe. He was able to survive. So job well done in the end. Also going to be seeing a few units and loading off to the left side of that, and going to be seeing the rest of ShoWTimE pressing forward here. Stealth's going to start a charge on in. Going to surround on the tank. The disruptor shot's going to fire a lot of them. All of them get denied. He's going to get the rest of them too. All of the disruptors go down without connecting. Finally, one from the high ground. And yet it's unfortunately just not enough for Clem because he was just that far behind anyway. Wow, I mean, if Clem takes that fight at any other part of this game, ShoWTimE is the one typing out GG here. Instead it's Clem because he was just a little bit too far behind anyway. I mean, this is just what's so fun to watch about Clem. Even when he's surely losing, he actually still keeps it going. He still keeps it competitive and keeps us guessing a little bit as to what the hell's actually about to happen next. GG's, and that is going to be a ShoWTimE victory to tie this series up 1-1. So the winner bracket final advantage, or the winner bracket advantage from Clem is negated, and we go 1-1 now with the rest of the games to be played. I hate the 1-0 advantage because it makes it so confusing. Like I was saying before, getting the numbers right when you announce which game it is. All right, top left-hand side, our blue Protoss player is ShoWTimE from Big Clan, of course. And he has tied this series up 1-1 as he takes on the red Terran player. Down in the bottom right from Team Liquid, it is, of course, Clem. No surprise to see Clem in a WardiTV final here. You know, we see him dominating a lot of the WardiTV events all year long, especially some of the smaller ones. Again, really cool thing about this is that between these two, we are now guaranteed both of them into the WardiTV 2020 Encore event, the $10,000 tournament that will start in November. Because they finished top 2 here, they are both guaranteed an invite. Obviously, it's up to them if they want to accept that invite, but yeah, they are obviously very welcome to play now. They have got that invite if they would like it. And I imagine ShoWTimE and Clem are pretty likely to take that invite. Clem likes to play in pretty much anything he gets invited to when I invite him, and ShoWTimE actually is another player who plays in pretty much most things I'll invite him to. ShoWTimE is not the kind of guy to miss out on something, you know, so yeah, kind of cool to see the two of them getting that guaranteed spots. They'll join Ragnarok, Cure, Innovation, and Zest on the guaranteed invite list. Of course, 12 of those players will also qualify, and then we have 6 more invites that will be decided by our sponsors, so make sure you check that out. Alright, so we get set up in a bunker in the back here, but ShoWTimE spots it immediately, so this is something that we've seen some Protoss players suddenly having some issues with lately, and right now, well, this bunker is going to continue to build for the moment. Probe is going to get back on the SCV, but it moves into the little corner. I mean, if you can get the bunker up, I mean, it's annoying. It's not like ShoWTimE's really done anything wrong just yet. I'm trying to keep this SCV building, and I don't think it can be attacked there for whatever reason. Oh my god, he goes into the corner again. The bunker's going to finish. SCV does come out the other side, jumps into the bunker, realizing the probe's going to get damage on it, just trying to repair up when possible. Now, Reaper is on the way across. What's our first unit from ShoWTimE? It is a Stalker. So no Adept here, just a Stalker. SCV will get some time to repair. Shield Battery just comes down immediately, as the Reaper should try and contest in the main base initially. Doesn't need to go into that bunker straight away. But I mean, if he wants to fight the Shield Battery, then that's fine too. But the battery is also out of range of the bunker, so you can't really continue to do damage to that. And now he's just going to trade out with the Stalker a little bit. I mean, the biggest part of this is that you deny mining from the natural. The probes that build here, they can't realistically, you know, mine from this position because they're going to be in range of the Reaper. This one actually rallied off to the side. That works. And the Stalkers get the kill on the SCV. So now the damage you do to this bunker is hull damage. It will not be repaired. And that's a pretty big deal. As the Reaper hopped out there, kind of thought it was going to drop a grenade. There it is. He hits both the Stalkers and delays a shot. Now another Reaper showing up. And drop another grenade down. And he's going to get the salvage on the bunker. Reaper hops up into the main. Potential scout on that Twilight Council. He's not seen it yet. He moves forward. I don't think he saw it. He did see it. I don't know if he clicked on it, but he did see it. So we get this info as a couple Stalkers continuing down the left. The Reaper and the Hellion will continue to back away down the side. Blink gonna chrono boost out and continue to get this going. Reaper comes up, just confirming that's a Twilight, I think. I'm not sure if he actually, I think he just glimpsed it. I'm not sure if he was able to actually click on it before. So, yeah, a couple structures at the front, obviously preparing in case of a Hellion follow-up. It is not that at all. We're going to see a Raven early on here from Clem this time around on Death Aura. So, a fairly early Raven coming in. Command Center building up in the main base. That's going to be our third CC coming online. Blink coming through. This gateway just morphing in over on the natural expansion. The Reaper coming in, a couple of Stalkers at the front to deflect and defend that. Just going to be seeing the Stalker out over to the side. Still got our Hellion up to the top, setting up as well as this Raven. Maybe pop it in just a few moments. Our Stalker will just stop this Hellion doing too much else. So, yeah, all good, guys. Nothing really crazy to talk about here. We get 3 CCs from Clem, and obviously happy to play into something of a later game here. Starport moves away to the right, and just going to be having a Hellion even getting back home. I mean, with a full wall off, there wasn't a chance for this Hellion to dive by for information. So I guess bring it back home, repair it up maybe, and send it back out for more info. Maybe keep an eye on a couple of things here and there. Definitely a couple of options to be had. Reaper going to try and be annoying as well, looping around. Okay, these Stalkers have blink. I mean, if you have to blink in after the Reaper, that's not great, but yeah, like, the Reaper should never really get out of there. 5-minute third again here from ShoWTimE. Obviously, a little bit of a distraction early, so not as quick as a third as what we saw in that last game. As our Stalkers continue down the right, a Hellion will be caught here pretty quickly, so the Hellion goes down, and now these Stalkers are going to look for a blink up into the main. So blinks up into the main. Tank shot is good onto the Stalkers initially, and we have got the Raven to perhaps drop down a couple of auto turrets. With the auto turret on the low ground, I kind of like that. He's going to get the Observer. The other Observer flies in. The Raven doesn't quite have the auto turret in range for the final shot, but one Observer already down. Good defense overall for Clem. ShoWTimE not really finding an opening there. Resources lost is good for ShoWTimE, but as long as Clem isn't losing out, I think he's fine. He's actually going to see ShoWTimE whooping in Zealots, which obviously indicates he maybe wants to still be aggressive at the front. Okay. Tank shot hits the Stalkers. A few SCVs go to the third base, start a mine. Goes them into the main, and these Zealots will get ready to unload. Actually going to go in on top of the siege tank, so going on top of the tank. Tank is going to be picked off here. And the auto turrets taking a couple of extra swipes. Now these Stalkers blink in, and see a tank taken down as well. The other Stalkers still being pushed away. One upgrades on the way up with the charge on the Twilight Council. Still just seeing this Bioforce of Clem pushing up through to the top. I mean, now that Clem's getting the bio upgrades, this one he can finally be out on the map, right? With 3 CC, the one negative is you don't really get a lot of pushback against Stalker aggression. A couple Zealots will just try and find their way into, well, an undefended third base. A single siege tank here will not do a lot, and it doesn't take much to get a couple of worker kills. Starter warp and decided against it. And ShoWTimE, all of this is just buying him time to get up into Colossus without Clem taking an aggressive position on the map or anything along those lines. So a lot of positives there as our Stalkers continue to the far right side. The units are going to stim in. The Stalkers have to back away. Templar Archives is just over that halfway marker. Still pushing through. A couple of these darts already going down. I mean, SCV's going down across the map again. There's Prism staying active. Now there's a Viking that will chase it, so it can't just stick around. One of the big things with Death Orb is so much dead airspace. Usually you can keep that Prism around for a long time, unless you commit into something like the Viking. Now he gets caught from multiple sides to get out of there. He does not. Prism falls. It's a nice snipe from Clem, because now you know. And especially when ShoWTimE's building Colossi, like, the last thing you want to have happen here is to go into a position where you have to realistically... you just... Like, this is just the last thing you really want, is a few salads wanted to start charging forward there. Fire's going to move up this ramp, and... Going to be able to trade. Yeah, the last thing you want when you're building Colossi is to slow down your Colossus production to rebuild a Prism. So that's a huge catch. There's Clem. Only has 3 siege tanks here. I mean, I feel like that's not a lot for going for this big play. What is cool is he's going to scan, double check there's no observer there, and he's going to go for this drop up to the main. So Clem's going to try and split this army of ShoWTimE up a little bit. Going to try and force a couple of errors here, perhaps, as ShoWTimE continues along to the left-hand side. The medevacs start to unload. Going to catch a probe, and if that was a potential, I mean, 5th base? I mean, I don't think so. I think he's just sending pylons of information. ShoWTimE's going to catch these medevacs. They will end up in the main. And the problem is it's an entire army of ShoWTimE chasing down 3 medevacs. The entire army of Clem is about to run to the 3rd base. So, yeah, it's a sacrifice from Clem, but a sacrifice that is likely to get a lot done. The tanks get sieged. The battery in the front goes down. So the battery in the back is the only one that can be supercharged. It goes down very quickly, too. Now, there are Archons here, and the Archons are not easy to get rid of for Clem. They're very tanky, and the tanks don't do great against them, and the tanks got no shots off on the Colossus, so they survive too in the background. And ShoWTimE actually gets a good cleanup here. He pulled his army to the right just in time to make sure he could defend this, and suddenly it's Clem that's kind of on the run, and ShoWTimE that's maybe going to come across the map to do even further damage here. Let's see what he can find as he moves across. New Prism is now out. 3 Colossi to back this army up. A couple of Archons trailing behind at the moment. It's a tough position to push into this high ground base because you've got the 2 tanks that are in a choked up area. You know, you've got to push through a choke to get there. Double choke really up the ramp, then past the command center. Clem's definitely feeling the pressure though. Pulled the SCVs and loses a few of them, knowing that he might need them in a fight to be able to truly hold on. He's not got the tech up that he needs right now. He could really do with just a couple of goes, a couple of EMPs to soften this army up. That might even make the difference of ShoWTimE just not being able to push in any further, but right now, first ghost about to pop, and that's going to be one very lonely, very small EMP. I probably won't quite find enough here. Archon's going to push on up. I mean, there's just no answer to these Archons. The one EMP that comes down is decent. Just again, is it enough? You're picking off tanks, now you're going to back away, force the bio to run down, because if you don't run down here, you're going to pick off the 4th base, which is also a win for you as ShoWTimE. So, I mean, you can just see this army is barely getting a chance to heal up for Clem as well. ShoWTimE pulls back around the side, continuing to maintain a lead, taking down workers, slowing down the army production. Looking pretty good, I think, for ShoWTimE as he continues this pressure. Now to the right, as he'll go for another push forward. So here's the issue. I mean, a few of these SCVs wanting to try and keep mining. Clem needs as much mining as he can get right now, but he has to pull them away. He's being very cautious with the defense, but Colossi are going to hit this base from a distance, and that means SCVs are pulled off the line, spending money to keep it going. Now we're going to dive through. There's only 2 siege tanks, and I truly don't think that's enough. Even with a couple of EMPs, the Archon count is finally starting to go down, but we've also got an extra Colossus that joined the fray, so we're talking about 4 of these nice, big, juicy units in the background that can get so much done. We're out of Archons, a couple left. I mean, low shields, and there's no way to really regen those before you want to fight again if ShoWTimE's going to keep being as aggressive as he has been so far. Remember, all of this is happening. He's killing SCVs while at home. He's just mining comfortably. There's no pressure from Clem across the map. He gets rid of that tank, and now you can maybe just pull back and play this position again. The bio has to push through the choke points, so the Colossi are naturally going to become better. Kites away. Disruptor shot flies. Doesn't quite connect. Split from Clem. He sees it coming just in time to respond. Clem is holding. I didn't notice the upgrade difference either, though. Clem's only on 1-1. So 2-2 upgrades from ShoWTimE are helping him out throughout all of these fights. You can see that these fights are going better for ShoWTimE as well. The 2,000 resources lost advantage Something else for us to look at there as our bio pulls back just a little bit. Our 4 Archons will finish up, and ShoWTimE's going to start to press through. Tank goes down right away. Well, Vikings pressing forward. Stalker, Archons trying to set up. A couple of EMPs going down. The Colossi still trying to push into the front of this now, and, well, a few Vikings getting damage on the Colossi, but they're still all alive. Finally, the first Colossus falls. It had 14 kills. Some of these other Colossi, 20 kills, 27 kills, and we can't Disruptor kills soon because those were some pretty amazing connections. I think Clem has just not got enough to properly fight off the Colossi. GG's called, and you look at this, 29, 23, and 8 kills on the Colossi. I mean, they were alive this entire time as ShoWTimE wins 2 in a row and some longer games to put him up ahead in the series. Here on Oxide, we start in the top right-hand side with the blue Protoss player. This is ShoWTimE. In the bottom left, our red Terran from Team Liquid is Clem. As he set up into game 4 of this best of 7. Clem not winning a map in this finals yet. Remember, his 1-0 lead comes from coming through the winner bracket where he did 3-1 ShoWTimE. So, I mean, he's got that in his mind still. So if you think about it, these guys are 3-3 on the day from winner bracket final into this final. And now, you know, evenly matched, I guess, as per usual. Not too surprising. Let's see what the rest of the map start to bring. See if Clem can break the momentum of ShoWTimE. Because ShoWTimE's got to feel good winning a couple of maps like this back-to-back. You know, confident, longer games. Not letting Clem get too aggressive early on. Not giving him any real openings to work with or anything along those lines. It's a lot of promising stuff if you're ShoWTimE right now. And do wonder just what Clem might try and do to mix it up and to make it that little bit more exciting, that little bit more interesting. Probe is going to come in, and it's just going to be this typical probe response onto this engineering bay block. So what Harston was talking about earlier is that it was very typical, obviously, to then go into the factory after this engineering bay block, and to just straight up expand was kind of weird, and that's what Soul was doing. It was kind of like a strange build. Yeah, the factory does come down from Clem, and again, that kind of makes perfect sense. This is exactly how this build is meant to look, as he tries to get this SCV back on the engineering bay as much as possible. Nexus goes down on the natural here. So getting that natural expansion up and running. SCV from Clem will make its way down to the bottom side of the map. Of course, the command center will come up in the next few moments after this factory. Depends exactly how he wants to do things, but the reactor's not ready yet either, so you're not really looking to build 2 Hellions immediately, so you can afford that command center right now, and that's exactly what he will do. Stargate on the way in the main base of ShoWTimE, so he's going to switch up a little bit himself from these Twilight builds to a Stargate this time. I mean, obviously Stargate, I mean, we talked about this also when Soul played against ShoWTimE, and he played some weirder stuff, and ShoWTimE was caught off guard, but, you know, the Stargate allows ShoWTimE to be very defensive against something like this Hellion production, so in that regard, this already looks pretty good for ShoWTimE. The problem is if Clem wants to be aggressive and or you know, if ShoWTimE prepares for Clem to be aggressive and then Clem isn't aggressive. But that's just not the case here, and ShoWTimE's had the information gained to kind of start figuring that out already anyway. Alright, well, do you have the couple of Hellions just out in the center? Oracle just Chrono boosting out of the Stargate as well. So no surprises here, very similar to what we saw ShoWTimE doing earlier when he went Stargate against Soul. In the end, though, Clem's actually going to go 2 Hellions into Widow Mine, so actually not going to be super... Yeah, not going to be super aggressive here. There's a couple of Hellions out the front. Command Center going to start to morph into the Orbital Command. Two gates to the front as well as the Twilight Council comes into the main. Oracle just going to continue patrolling as our medevac takes 4 Widow Mines out across to the upper right side of the map here. Hellions out down on the low ground. Oracle flying around the main, where the Widowmine's going to go for. They're going to go for natural. Probes start to pull. Obviously, at the same time, these Hellions could dive in somewhere if they find that opportunity. Couple probes so far. He actually kept 2 of these Widowmines around. Now it's the Hellions that make the play in, and they get 5 workers total, with the 1 Widowmine that got back into the main base getting an unburrow, reburrow. He's forced, obviously, a lot of probe pull, right? The natural probe pull, now the main base probe pulling. Ooh, that was actually almost a bunch of workers. I thought he was going to go for those 2 workers there, and he actually didn't. He's going to save this Widowmine, go to the natural one more time. There's probably probe pull to just kill this. That's why he puts the Widowmine in the gap. ShoWTimE is going to lose 1 probe here, and the Widowmine will still be saved. ShoWTimE taking a 3rd base behind all of this. It's a lot of lost mining, though, from Clem, caused by Clem. Look at this income graph. Just as it started, he's constantly been pulling probes away. Had to multiple times disrupt his economy, so obviously that hurts quite a bit. The stim pack builds from Clem back at home. He's on 3 racks this time as well, so he's got an aggressive follow-up. So ShoWTimE's not going to get breathing room here to recover, right? This is going to be fully fledged aggression. Clem's just going to go and keep on going, I think. As the medevac comes into this main base, and Oracle locked onto by a Cyclone. Viking shots to help push the Oracle away as well. Oracle doesn't go down, but I mean, it makes it less likely that this Oracle wants to get back into the action again anytime soon, right? So definitely something to be concerned about there. Again, Stim, Combat Shield, +1 attack, all this good stuff still coming through here. You'll see a few units just coming across from ShoWTimE. Does he have anything of a time in here? 40 seconds until his blink is done. Obviously with Chrono that can be like 30 or so. I mean, even then it's like, what do you do against 2 tanks, a Widowmine, Marines in the main? And that's when Clem gets Stim. He's building a 3rd CC, but I'd be surprised if Clem didn't go for something of a push at some stage here. Just to take advantage of the damage he caused earlier, because ShoWTimE's definitely off from where he'd like to be. I just feel like it's at least worth checking across the map to see what things are looking like, right? Fire sets up. Starts to move on through. Hey, Maynard, thank you for the raid. Welcome everyone from the Limo League. What a result that was today. Not going to spoil it for anyone that wants to go check it out, but that was some crazy stuff that I just witnessed on my second monitor while I'm casting here. Yeah, you're joining us in the Grand Finals of the European League 2020. Clem has not won a map in this Grand Final. He 3-1 ShoWTimE in the winner bracket final, so he started this Grand Final with a 1-0 advantage. And now ShoWTimE's won 2 in a row. Clem is, for me, looking good in this next map, though. So maybe looking to try and get this tied up again 2-2. Iowa Army pushing up to the top side of the map here. Widowmines joined in with this. The few Adepts are going to shade through to the natural, where a couple Marines and a Marauder will stim in. These Adepts will start to fall. And again, pushing forward. I mean, these Adepts will not do much, right? A few SCVs. You need an army at home right now as ShoWTimE. He doesn't have charge yet for 15 more seconds. I don't think Clem's going to pull the trigger before charge is done. Or is he? Honestly, I mean, even with charge, what does charge matter if you're going to be walled out from the army anyway? I like what Clem is setting up for. ShoWTimE's setting up to flank into this. He's going to go for it for sure. As Clem just bringing his tanks forward. He's got a Widowmine mix in here as well. He's going to start moving through. These Zealots from the flank are not ready just yet. Now they're going to move in. Look at the choke point. Oh my god. Yeah, the force field doesn't even really affect Clem that much. Widowmines and the Zealots going to have a fiasco in the background. The 2 tanks go down. I mean, problem is there's a good amount of bio left, and there's still bunkers to work with as well, so Clem can jump into those. I mean, as these Stalkers go down, you're talking about basically a pure Zealot army. And believe it or not, guys, pure Zealot armies don't do so well. Clem now finally able to reinforce. I mean, maybe ShoWTimE does something else with this gateway and that pylon over there. That's where those previous Adepts came from, but not sure what else is going to go on. A couple of Zealots continuing to go down. The Stalker's being picked away at. I mean, this is just going to be too much. Definitely felt like Clem had a good position from earlier in the game. But right now as well, on top of that, it definitely feels as though, you know, Clem had a good position from earlier in the game. But this position he got set up in here is just extremely strong in itself, right? So, fantastic game for Clem as he ties this up 2-2 in this best of 7. Gets us tied up for this best of 7 as we go into Jagannatha. Nice long map here. We'll see what comes out of this as we start in the top right-hand side with the blue Protoss player Let's hear it if you're cheering on ShoWTimE. Taking on the red Terran in the bottom left-hand side from Team Liquid, we have got ourselves Clem. Let's get this set up to go. As we're super early in the game, thank you so much to VFN Exodus as well for the 3-month resub on the Prime. Thank you very much. As, yeah, obviously, again, like I say, those subs and stuff, they do help support these events. Also, if you want to support these events, check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/WardiTV. Everything you pledge on Patreon, 100% of it goes into a tournament prize pool. So, if you're loving what you're seeing on the stream, then, yeah, check it out on the Patreon and support it. Help get more of these events up. Obviously, the next event we're putting money into is that WardiTV 2020 Encore event in November, $10,000 prize pool. So if you want to support these things, go check them out. As we have the Engineering Bay block once again here from Clem. So he gets the Engineering Bay down, is able to block it up. CV gets chased around by this probe as well. As a cybernetics core from ShoWTimE pops into the front of the natural, and just seeing the factory from Clem getting going in the main base as well. So factory on the way up, orbital command coming through. And very much so just what we saw in the previous game as well. Clem will leave with the SCV. ShoWTimE will get rid of that NG Bay and will start his Nexus. And obviously Clem will build the command center post-factory here, which just means that he gets the factory up that little more quickly, and maybe you can get a bit aggressive now. I think Awesome said it was about 253. Hellions can be out. Definitely looks as though it would be lining up for that right now. And so, yeah, and again, what Harson was saying earlier, in case you weren't here, I'll spread some of his knowledge that he shared, is basically this opening now means that 2 Hellions will be out at 253. The Adept Shade would shade in at like 248. And so if the Adept Shade's in, and obviously this is a longer map as well, so that might also be a bit different. But if this Adept Shade's in, you're basically talking about a situation where the Hellions are going to pop out to kill the Adept, so you can't really justify the Adept Shade. Now, these Hellions are going to be a little bit late because you actually go into the starport pretty quickly. But yeah, proxying up the starport to the top side. That's why Clem's going to keep the aggression up right now. Up on the top of the map. 2 extra gates from ShoWTimE in the main base. Hellions are going to pop out over here as well. I'm just going to be seeing our starport done in a moment or so. SCV going to go down the left-hand side. We do have our probe coming through, and that's going to be a little bit of a zoom through the speedy zone. SCV heads on down the bottom, and yeah, just waiting for these aliens to get across the map. Obviously, they're going to get out. A little bit out of sync, actually. As what's funny for ShoWTimE is he did a lot of scouting down the right side, because the right side is where you expect the proxy starport, because then the drop goes into the main. Because the starport is on the left side, it's going to be a drop into the natural, so it's a little bit unorthodox for the positioning, but it's going to work out here. Now, at the same time, ShoWTimE is just on 3 gateways, so he's going to have a lot of pressure against this Hellion build, and Clem doesn't have any units right now. So yeah, this is going to look great for Clem initially. It's going to look really good for ShoWTimE in a moment or two, though, because he is going to do some serious damage. The question is, can Clem actually shut down enough economy? Okay, he actually warps into Stalkers at home, so he will shut down those Hellions now. And there is a Cyclone out defensively at the moment. Stalkers back away from the Cyclone lock-on. The 2 Stalkers continue to chase. 15 probes dead so far. I mean, down to 3 Hellions. When we get down to 2, no more probes should fall. ShoWTimE can now mine a little bit more properly. And that Cyclone is difficult to get rid of here. And ShoWTimE will slowly warping in Stalkers on the right side. He's still got workers to get rid of to make this work. SCV pull has to be made. The tank will get up. If the tank can come up, that's an interesting mule on the natural. We're going to get a Stalker kill here. If the tank can get siege, perhaps. Remember, this isn't blink or anything, obviously. It's super early. It's just 3 gateways. This tank getting siege can do a lot of damage, but then he lets the Stalkers come back up. The SCVs were kind of far away. He gets a lot of Stalkers, though, for the siege tank. Now, the tech lab also went down, so you don't have the ability to build another siege tank here. Another Stalker falls to Marine Fire, though. 12 SCVs lost from Clem. He still has Hellions across the map, by the way, which will get a couple more probes before being cleaned out. Clem is kind of dancing. He wants to get a lock-on with this Cyclone, but it's obviously low HP, so you got to be careful with it. The Stalker gets out of range, escaping the Cyclone lock-on just by a millimeter there. Cyclone lock-on comes in. The Stalker's taking damage. Marines continue to be pushed away. Cyclone gets one more lock-on. It's another Stalker taken down. Now the Cyclone will die. Marines turn around, though. They get the Stalker as well. Oh, God, this is just continuous. The medevac comes back home. Hellion drops off. The Marines will move in. Stalker's still taking some hits right here as ShoWTimE gets the Widow Mine. The medevac will go down. This is where Clem's production is going to be a problem. He doesn't have any units remaining. So ShoWTimE is going to get in and take the win and take it to match point in his favor. 3-2 lead for ShoWTimE. Wow, what a game as well. I mean, this 3-gate is kind of the hard counter to the Hellion drop, but Clem almost made it happen. Maybe if he had the SCVs in front of the tank still, when the Stalkers made that run up, he would have just got a couple extra Stalkers, and even that may have made the difference. Not just yet. ShoWTimE gets onto match point first. 3-2 right now. As we go to the bottom left-hand side, can he win the WardiTV European League 2020? In the bottom left-hand side, he just needs one more map to do it. It's ShoWTimE as he spawned in here on Pillars of Gold. On the top right side of the map, our red Terran player is Clem, and he's going to straight up double Rax proxy on the bottom of this map. ShoWTimE didn't play the European League last year. Clem did, got to the finals, got knocked out by Mana, who actually won the European League last year in a big upset. Clem was not obviously monster mode then, but he was still really good, but Mana just looked monstrous in those series. And Mana, our European League champ, obviously he is already out of this one. It's down to ShoWTimE and Clem, so Clem, let's see what he can do. As we've loved bringing this European League event to you guys. This Proxy Rax comes up. Just want to quickly say it's been so much fun bringing this. We're absolutely looking to bring the European League back for 2021. It's been an awesome event that helped us through the kind of the quarantine and the lockdown back in April and ran all the way through until now. So thanks for supporting it all the way throughout, guys. As this Proxy Rax sets up then. Problem is for ShoWTimE, he doesn't scout on Pillars of Gold apparently until quite late on. Now this probe makes its way across the left side, but I mean, this is 2 Rax Marine. ShoWTimE has... I mean, this probe is not even necessarily going to scout right away. Where's it actually rallied to? Where is he going? He's actually rallied to build a proxy. This is really bad for ShoWTimE. This actually might just be... This might just be game. You're going to have no information. Marines are going to get a build-up for free. Clem knows he's not being scouted. And ShoWTimE's just out here. No, Nexus halfway done. And Clem's going to start going now. I wonder if he could have waited for a few more units, honestly. Yeah, he's going to start up the bunker, and ShoWTimE's not even going to get to see the bunker right away, so this is fine as well. You start getting the bunker up. I mean, now Clem's maybe going to send the SCV up the ramp, and he can bunker up here. He's going to reveal the Marines. He's going to force some probes to pull already, so now ShoWTimE realizes what he's up against, and this is not looking pretty for our Protoss player at all. He's going to get 2 probes. Remember, he's fallen back to this bunker, essentially. These few Marines might not get into the bunker, though. Bunker will at least finish, but yeah, 2 of the Marines get caught off to the side. They do not get in the bunker, so 3 Marines die. Well, now this bunker probably does go down as... I mean, imagine there was still like 4 Marines here, even instead of just 2. SCV repairing. ShoWTimE is going to hold this off, losing 8 probes. Factory at home from Clem, so he is looking for the transition. He gets a salvage on bunker 1, only just. The other bunker potentially can just cancel as well. And now these barracks are going to start building tech labs, but the Stalker's here, and they're going to see that. So, not sure this is necessarily going to work out as the Marines get pushed away. So yeah, the Marines getting pushed away out down the bottom right-hand side. I can't believe it. If these Marines don't get caught, this bunker doesn't fall. There's no way you fight it with the probes if there's that many Marines, right? The fact that those Marines just couldn't quite escape away if he was just a step further back to begin with. That was so close. Well, now ShoWTimE holds. Obviously, Clem starts to build the command center. Here are the Marauders. No concussive shells. Just Marauders and a Hellion to back this up as well. First Marauder goes down pretty quickly. Hellion chases in. The Stalker goes down. Hellion gets up in toward the main base. Is going to get through to find... There's no probes there! Because all the probes are on the natural. Well, that's kind of weird because now you're not mining gas. I was all of a sudden, I'm like, where are all the pros? But obviously they pulled down to the natural and they just start to mine from the natural. That caught me off guard. Oh, yeah, this Hellion's like, yes, I'm going to get a probe kill or two. Nope. All right, 2 more Marauders at the front, though. Shield battery here, so you have to kind of kill the shield battery before you kill anything else. Problem is, these Stalkers are just going to chase. It's another Marauder kill if it comes back into the fight. Another Stalker showing up as well. 2 of these Marauders are low. Hasn't finished them off just yet, though. Loses a Stalker, but he gets the Marauders eventually. 2 Stalkers still to the left-hand side. A Tech Lab rebuilding here. I'm surprised we don't see concussive shells for the... just for how much Clem is putting into these Marauders at this point. Like, if you're still going to keep building them and rebuild a Tech Lab, surely concussive shells, like right now, concussive shells would like get you a Stalker kill, if not 2, guaranteed. It takes away the ability for the Stalkers to do exactly this, kiting away. And obviously now they kite away to a shield battery, so... I just don't understand no concussive shells. Like, initially I did, but I feel like at this point... I mean, can he just not afford it? To me, he's always floating enough gas where he can kind of justify the concussive shell investment. Because even right now, if you get concussive shells, it could catch ShoWTimE off guard and you get 2 Stalkers for free. And that's already worth the investment, right? That's a big if, but I just think it gives you so many advantages here. Because ShoWTimE's playing knowing there's no concussive shells. So again, you could catch them right now, slow the Stalker, he doesn't get to run away. Now he starts up concussive shells. I think he's realizing the kind of, you know, my own logic here. He's kind of realizing, like, yeah, actually, it kind of makes sense, right? Maybe I should actually get something set up to deal with this. We're going to see a few units unloading into this main base. Hellion gets through. A couple of these probes already starting to go down. So a couple probes going down. Stalkers get in. The medevac taking some shots. Marauders wanting to chase down this army. The medevac will go down. A bit of micro to help. He doesn't get the Stalker kill, though. Those concussive shells will finish in a moment. Clem, 36 probes behind this. I mean, ShoWTimE's army supply in fairness is kind of low. Like, there's actually 4 Hellions on the map right now. Now this Marauder count in the natural is kind of building up a bit. Targets down the battery. Well, no point super battery in a battery that's being targeted down. Where are all the Hellions at? Oh, they went down. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of Marauders just pushing up here at the moment. Gonna come through. These Stalkers going down. I mean, Clem's army supply is kind of doing it for the moment for me. Okay. I think, by the way, I read this Hellion count wrong or something, because I feel like some Hellions just disappeared. Anyway, it doesn't matter. A few probes still coming across the map. Sorry, a few units still coming across the map from Clem. Back on track here. Couple Stalkers and an Immortal defensively. The Immortal is huge defensively because obviously the Immortal means that you can't really fight with Marauders. Marauders get murdered by an Immortal. Back at home, Stimpack has started. We're going to see 2 more barracks coming down. Clem seems to be very committed to 2 bases. I mean, these 2 racks going to flow hopes. I mean, it could arguably be a 3cc, and you just float these barracks home, and that's why you need 2 more barracks back at home already to kind of keep production up. Yeah, medevac being annoying, though, and that's going to be a kill. Now he's actually going to dive on these Stalkers. Nice save from the Prism, though. Immortal getting some damage done as well. I mean, the worker count is even. In theory, this is actually pretty good for Clem when you look at the straight-up numbers right now as it stands. The worker count being even is really good for Clem here. And ShoWTimE is playing, I mean, on kind of a low-tech game as well, right? Clem's now starting to get into all of his bio upgrades, while ShoWTimE is sat on an Immortal, no Twilight Council. He's going to drop a Robo Bay. That's pretty much the only tech he could realistically go into right now. As this Prism continues up to the top side. Robo Bay is still coming up. Twilight Council is in the main. Soul Hellion of Clem continues now down the bottom side of the map. As we do see the extra Adept or 2 warping in. I mean, what do you do as ShoWTimE now? If Clem's going to come full force at you with a bio army, it's so Marauder heavy. I feel like you need to get charged like straight away here. I think charge is the answer to what is just a super heavy Marauder count. You're talking about 6 Marauders, 2 Marines, and he's building 2 Marauders at a time. He's gonna go Blink. In a way, I don't mind Blink. Okay, now he constantly goes Charge. I actually do think Charge is... I don't mind Blink, because obviously Blink has all of its usual positives, but I do think Charge, even though you're going Colossus, I think it's worth sacrificing the Blink because of what's up. Usually with Colossi, you want the Blink play, and you want the Stalks to help protect the Colossi and so on, but in this case, with the army that Clem has, I actually don't disagree with this. ShoWTimE also going to hide a base over to the right side, so He's going to try and take a hit in third. SCVs returning money up to the natural expansion. This command center will drop down in the third location as well. A few more SCVs still transferring around here. Charges coming up. I'm just going to be seeing combat shield plus 1 armor. A couple of extra medevacs still on the way. How's the siege tank going to be done in a few moments' time? At what point does Clem push? I guess is my question. I mean, even if Clem doesn't see this third here, he probably expects the third here. The only thing that might backfire then is if you arrive here to fight. Okay, he's going to see the base. I don't know, man. Clem's already got his third CC mining. I mean, so is ShoWTimE now getting the probes over there, but... I mean, you're just a scout away from losing out on that. I mean, honestly, I feel like this army could just lose out anyway. Charge will be done soon. 11 zealots on the map. To me, they are critical. He's got 6 gates. Don't fight before charge, ShoWTimE. Don't press into this before charge is done. These tanks are going to siege up, and that will push ShoWTimE back. Slows Clem down, though, as well, right? Gives ShoWTimE more time for stuff like +1 to come in. Extended thermal lance. Not that I think he can buy enough time for extended thermal lance. That's a long way off right now. Fire pushing down the bottom. A few zealots will charge into this. The tank fire good from a distance. Oh, everything's so tense right now, guys. Everything is very close here. This has been such a weird game. I can't believe Clem's making it happen after the early game went, for me, not well enough for him. Until you kind of realize that ShoWTimE was being held back on like consistently having to warp in stalkers and so on. That's when it kind of got crazy, right? Prism loads up for Zell's going to take those forward here. The rest of the bio showing up as well. Zell's going to drop on top of the tanks. I mean, that's probably the best fight you get is ShoWTimE. But the tank fire is still going to be good on the Colossi, and they are going down quickly. The Zealots are going to go down, and there's still tanks remaining. One Colossus fell. I don't think there's enough protection for Colossi right now, as Clem will stim down this ramp. He's going to get the first Colossus already. But the Zealots are going to charge on through here. They're going to get on top of this army, and GG is called. Clem is going to push through to take us to a Game 7. We're going to go the distance. Between ShoWTimE and Clem in the grand finals, the European League is going to get a fantastic send-off. What a weird, weird game. But Clem turns it into a Game 7 for us here in our grand finals of the European League. Championship point, as in the top left-hand side, fighting for that $1,000 first place prize. Our blue Protoss player is ShoWTimE. Bottom right, our red Terran from Team Liquid. It's Clem. Okay. ShoWTimE. Clem. Game 7. We've seen a good mix of aggression from both players. We've seen some longer games. I mean, it's not worth trying to predict what's going to happen in a 7th game here right now because it's just not been that kind of a series. And that's an early SCV off around the side from Clem, so that to me says he wants to at least start this off with an engineering bay block. So I think he wants to eBay block the natural. This is generally why you would take the SCV around the sides, because it doesn't give ShoWTimE the idea that the SCV is coming, so you can't counterplay against it. What might be the... If he engineering bay blocks, does ShoWTimE go 3 gates against a Hellion play? But what if he doesn't go Hellions? Then you may be in trouble going 3 gates. eBay block will go down. And tied up 3-3. Everything to play for right now is Probe is going to come in, nibble his SCV. Flexor Probes down here to fight the Probes. Alright, so the Engineering Bay taking some damage. Cybercore coming through. Looks like we're going to get a pretty standard kind of eBay block startup. Engineering Bay will cancel. I'm just going to be seeing the factory. About halfway done here from Clem. Reactor on the barracks. Nexus from ShoWTimE. What does ShoWTimE follow up with here then? Does he expect the Hellions? Does he have a different plan? Not really. I'm not 100% sure, actually. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Stalker gonna chrono boost out there. Adept gonna shade off to the side. This SCV making its way up to the top as well. He's going to proxy his starports. He is looking for the proxy starport Hellion play. Some fun positions. A lot of places to check on this map. He's going to use the Adept Shade to come up, and he misses it. No! ShoWTimE misses the starport entirely. Oh, that's kind of sad. Great position from Clem. Thing is, this is not a bad starport place either, because you go directly from here into this main, which has dead airspace or dead vision space as well. We're already on our way toward a couple of extra Hellions. ShoWTimE's going to build a pylon over here, because he's building... Okay, well, ShoWTimE's building the gates to try and get aggressive, right? He's doing what he did on Jagannatha. We're going to have a repeat of that game. Obviously, so much of this still comes down to what actually happens. He's going to see the Hellions here initially with the Adept and the Stalker. This time, Clem's going to dive the main right away, though. And I wonder if that makes the difference, just killing off enough probes. Factory straight to a tech lab. Siege tank or Cyclone here defensively would be absolutely amazing, of course. ShoWTimE's pylon will allow him to warp in over that mineral patch. And here we go. The Hellions are going to go diving into the main base. ShoWTimE has no idea about it. The Hellions being able to unload and run in all at once. No Stalkers at home. He just warped in across the map. Okay, well, ShoWTimE's going to take a lot of damage. He needs to do damage on the other side, but how much can these Hellions do? ShoWTimE's just going to leave his probes mining to get as much money as possible to work with on the other side. Honestly, it makes sense, but wall-off is good. The siege tank's on the way up. ShoWTimE needs to get rid of this wall-off. If you don't get rid of this wall-off, how are you ever going to get through to kill the siege tank? Siege tank is going to siege on the ramp. The Hellions are getting rid of every single probe. Tank is going to hold the ramp, and then ShoWTimE just can't push through. ShoWTimE's just stuck. He's got to do something. He can't not do anything. That's going to be how Clem wins it. GG. The tank in the main holds it down. And this time, the defense at home from Clem is perfect. He kills every probe on the other side of the map. And this time, ShoWTimE's gambit of 3 gateways against the Hellions does not work out. And Clem takes Game 7. He is the WardiTV European League 2020 champion.